Now taking the stage for a panelist discussion moderated by Chrissy Idolette, please welcome Brenda Barnicki, Sylvia Crum, and Shawn Lindsey.
Good morning. My name is Chrissy Idolette. I work in Global Public Affairs here at Eastman, and I have the privilege of moderating this esteemed panel today. I would like to start with an audience question. By a show of hands, how many of you appreciate one or more of the following? Locally sourced farm-to-table food options, chocolate that makes a difference, and outdoor adventure opportunities that double as economic resources for our region. Okay, I see almost everyone's hands up. Honestly, I can't see many of you, but I think a lot of hands are up. And even if you didn't raise your hand, you're going to learn something today. So our panel today features three outstanding social entrepreneurs. We have Brenda Barnicki, the founder and president of Bellavita Chocolates, Shawn Lindsey, executive director of Spearhead Trails, and SYLVIA Crum, director of communications and development for Appalachian Sustainable Development. So let's begin by getting to know our panelists a bit better. Starting with Shawn, as a way to further introduce yourself, could you explain what your organization does, as well as why you feel personally connected to its mission?
Sure, love to. So I came to work for Spearhead Trails as their executive director almost 3 years ago, and I asked that question, and it took me a long time to figure it out. And people were telling me, you're kind of like a unicorn, you know, but the truth is we are a government authority, a trail authority, and there's only two of them in the Commonwealth of Virginia. And what we do is we build trails for economic development purposes. We have a mission to interconnect interstate trails. We connect trails to towns where economic development can happen. So our purpose is to create jobs. We were actually created and tasked with the mission with the declining of the coal economy to create a new recreational economy so that more jobs could come to our area and that they would be sustainable and long-lasting. And we take advantage of these large areas of coal fields and timberlands and gas wells and areas, and we multi-purpose them so they have a secondary purpose for trails as well. And so that's kind of how our organization works. Why I'm personally connected to it is because I've been on a life quest. Have y'all heard Leo this morning? He kind of indicated that to be happy, we have to fulfill the measure of our creation. And so it kind of hit me in high school that when I learned about the concept of utopia, that you could create a perfect place, an ideal community, I said, that is what I want to do for the rest of my life. That's my career. That's what I would be passionate about. And so I used to watch the Andy Griffith Show a lot. And I learned on the Andy Griffith Show that you had government, and you had individuals, and you had businesses all working together on every episode to make a perfect place. And I said, that's a great formula. And Spearhead Trails kind of captures and personifies that exact formula. I call it my quest for Mayberry, and I've been on that quest my entire career, and I love it. When I came to Virginia, the first month or so, I was in Richmond, and I didn't know if you knew this or not, but I'm a tourism knight of Virginia.
I didn't know that.
Well, I'm the only one. Well, so you probably haven't met a knight before. And the reason I'm a knight is because I happen to be in a boardroom with President and CEO Rita McClenny of Virginia Tourism. And my organization is separate, but we have a pass-through budget through them. And so I had an umbrella. So I said, Rita, I'd love to become a tourism knight of Virginia. I kneeled, and she knighted me. Now, I take that knighting extremely seriously, you know, because I have a quest, I have a mission, I have a passion. My passion is to create jobs, make the coalfield counties, the 7 coalfield counties of Southwest Virginia, a better place to live, in a place where you can work, and to have sustainable jobs. And so that's been my quest, that's been my mission, that's been my passion, and that's how I'm connected.
Thank you, Shawn. And Brenda, I'll direct the same question to you.
Well, and Thank you for having us, and thank you all for being here. I have been so inspired this morning and just so filled up. It's just an amazing experience. So Bellavita Chocolates is a gourmet chocolate company, but it's one that has a difference that makes it unique in the nation and we think unique in the world. And that is that 100% of our profits go to children's charities, and that's true on every product, every day, from the beginning and 10 years counting. And it will be true forever. In addition to that, all of our staff is volunteer. I am a full-time volunteer, and there are more than a dozen ladies that help. We're all volunteers except for a few paid positions that we've created for women who are in recovery. So these can be women who are suffering from drug addiction or fleeing from domestic violence. And what we aim to do is to try to help them get on their feet. So we specialize in gourmet chocolate truffles. We customize gifts for corporate gifts, weddings, special events, and so on, and we ship across the U.S. So I started the company 10 years ago. Some of you may know that at the time I was a vice president at a little company, a little chemical company. You might have heard of it. It was never intended to be anything other than just a little hobby. But life kind of takes over. But from the very beginning, I really wanted it to be dedicated to children. And the reason is simple, and that is because every success that I had in my life had to do with a family that supported me and loved me and pushed me to be my best. And it's just heartbreaking when you see children that don't have that, or children who are coming from broken homes, or who are suffering from such tragedies in their lives that they can't hardly imagine the next step or imagine what their future can be. And so that's what we dedicate the entire company to. And I have to tell you, it is so liberating working for free and knowing that you're going into work every day on behalf of those kids. I mean, it's like nothing I've ever experienced. It's amazing.
Thank you, Brenda. And Sylvia, directed to you as well.
So I am here to represent Appalachian Sustainable Development. We are a local nonprofit that started about 25 years ago. Originally based out of Southwest Virginia, we currently serve 15 counties in Northeast Tennessee and Southwest Virginia. We do a bunch of programming in the sustainable agriculture sector as well as food access. And so what I'm going to talk about today on the panel is primarily our food hub, which is called Appalachian Harvest. It's located in Duffield, and it's really a social enterprise. And so I think that will really bring some great flavor to the conversation today. The reason that our work resonates so much with me is that I moved to the area about 25 years ago, and I really was very interested in creating a more authentic life. And so I live on a 15-acre farm in Washington County, Virginia, and I immersed myself in nonprofit work rather than for-profit work because I recognized at that time what the needs were in our region. I've never been so exhausted, but so fulfilled at the same time because I really, really see the impact of ASD's work each and every day.
Thank you, Sylvia. So Shawn, how do you see your business affecting your community, and why is that important to you?
Great question. So the 7 coalfield counties are in a state of population decline for the most part. And so that creates a lot of problems. When you're having to deal with less and less people every year, less people paying taxes, less jobs, it's really hard to maintain roads and services and schools and things like that. So we're trying to create a new economy, and that's mainly how we help people. But if you think about our area, whether you're in Northeast Tennessee, Western North Carolina, all this Highland Appalachian area, it's absolutely gorgeous. So you can travel the entire world, and you hardly ever find a place that can compare to the beauty that we have. And so we're capturing that beauty. We have lots and lots of large properties. Property owners that own 10,000 acres, 150,000 acres, and things like that. So there's already lots of old mining roads, gas wheel roads, timber roads that are being used by locals kind of as trails. And so what we do is we go in and we kind of map these out and connect them and sign them and find which ones have good economic impacts and connect them to towns. And so the biggest way we help people is by connecting private property owners with our authority and bringing in various grants. Private foundations like the Eastman Foundation has been very beneficial in the past. And all these things coming together is pulling these areas up economically. Tourism, we're bringing tourism in. Remember, I'm a knight of tourism, and so my job is to get people to come to our area to experience the beauty, and hopefully they'll stay and they'll create businesses. So that's what we're doing.
And Brenda, how does Bellavita Chocolates affect the community?
Yeah, so obviously the entire purpose of the company is to improve kids' lives. We can't solve all of the problems that we see, but we can solve some of them. And so we can do things like send that kid that's fighting cancer to Disney World with their family. We can send warm clothing and quilts to that orphan in the Ukraine who's been displaced by violence in their country. We can help, closer to home, we can help the community build the miracle field so that special needs kids get a chance to play baseball just like everybody else. And so on our mission to help kids, we can really impact the community around us, but also across the country and across the nation. And it's just really cool.
Sylvia, how are ethics and sustainability incorporated into Appalachian Sustainable Development's mission?
So, well, sustainability is our middle name. So we always want to create opportunities in farming and agriculture that have some longevity. As far as being ethical, let me back up. The Food Hub has typically, over the years, processed fruits and vegetables, which we sell to grocers and food brokers up and down Interstate 81, up to about Maryland and down to about Georgia. We've developed long-term relationships with retailers like Ingles, Whole Foods, Food City, and so on. If we are not ethical in our treatment of the local farmers that we represent, and if we're not ethical in our relationships with the buyers that are purchasing our produce, we're not going to have any markets. So ethics and sustainability are key pillars to our work. We need to honor the local farmers that we serve. We trust that they know what they're doing, and we want to make them be as successful as they can possibly be. So those touch points for us are critically important. I'll give you an example. At the Food Hub, we do a whole bunch of stuff. So we do training and tech support. We also do aggregation. So if we have a farmer that has 5 boxes of pumpkins, and that farmer has 200 boxes of pumpkins, and that farmer has 60, we'll aggregate all of that, and then we'll sell that to a retailer. And it's our job to get that farmer the highest price point that we can possibly get that. That takes confidence, transparency, ethical behavior, and of course, sustainable behaviors as well.
Thank you, Sylvia. So since you three are such success stories in the realm of social entrepreneurship, let's talk about some advice related to your organization's missions. Brenda, when you created the mission for Bellavita Chocolates, what kind of questions did you ask yourself, and what did you want to see come out of that mission?
Yes, that's a great question. So everybody's story is different. For me, the company came out of my faith, and it's from a simple belief that God gives every one of us a set of skills and abilities and passions and relationships and opportunities, and expects us to do something with them. And so for me, the key question as you're starting up an adventure like this is what am I passionate about? What do I think I'm good at? And what can I do? How can I use those things to help other people? And so for me, I felt like I was good at running businesses, and my employer had invested a whole lot of time and money letting me make mistakes in training and so on to make me better at that. I had been passionate about children's causes for my whole life, and anybody that knows me knows I had been obsessed with chocolate my whole life. And so those things kind of combined together in my little brain with this idea of running this company and dedicating it all to children's charities. And so the second part of the question about what defines success, so success, the first half of my career was about promotions and positions and salary, and there's nothing wrong with any of that. I loved my career. But I really hope that the success in the second half of my career is defined by how many lives I've touched, how many kids I've helped, how many women we've helped get back on their feet. And that's just an exciting, amazing thought to think that you could dedicate a good hunk of your life to do that. I'm just so blessed.
It's very inspiring. Thank you, Brenda. Sylvia, your organization's mission is to transition Appalachia to a more resilient economy and a healthier population by supporting local agriculture, exploring economic opportunities, and connecting people to healthy food. How would you encourage audience members to use their own skills to tackle things they're passionate about?
I think that that's a great question. And I think for a lot of people, we make it a really complicated answer. And I don't really think it needs to be that complicated. I would tell people, for one, to get involved, to do something. Don't do nothing. It's worse to do nothing than to do something and have to pivot if you find that it's not right for you. Two, I think invest a little bit of yourself in something with someone that's different than you. As some of the other speakers expressed today, if you meet people that are different than you, it's often really rewarding and super fulfilling, and you learn a whole bunch. And everybody's not going to be the same, and that brings a lot of value and a lot of color to your life. And the third thing is just to have the courage not to be too comfortable in a space. Dr. Brene Brown always talks about that you can't be courageous and comfortable at the same time. I do think doing something a little bit courageous each and every day will push you and also help you discover your passions and have a really fulfilled life.
Absolutely. So Shawn, Spearhead Trails features a goal to serve as a catalyst to create an environment for diversified and sustainable local jobs in your vision statement. What advice would you give to someone who wants to tackle his or her own lofty goals like this one?
Sure. So we run into entrepreneurs all the time that come to us, and this is why we're here, to say, hey, I would like to start a business in this area, and and they ask us, what can we do? So number one, if you want to start a business and you're in the 7 coalfield counties of Southwest Virginia, come see me, because that's why I'm here, and I'm hoping I'm going to grab some of these wonderful people I've met today and attract them to come here and start businesses. But the first thing you do is you go out and you find the best that you can find that do something similar to what you're doing. And you just ask them a bunch of questions, because you're going to want to be realistic with what you can do, but you also want to find out what they're not doing. You're wanting to find needs that aren't being met. And so we got lots of needs that aren't being met. And that's one of the first things I think you need to ask yourself. The second thing is that you have to be humble enough to listen and learn and get past your own experiences and open those doors. And so that's important. If you come talk to me, my job is to help you and point you in the right direction. There's lots of resources in our region, from grants to people that can give you great advice. I was talking with Sylvia this morning about a project that I want to take on, and we were just sitting around talking about it. And so there's always people that will help you if you're humble and teachable and want to learn. But I think you'd follow those steps. Find out who's doing it, and find out what they've learned. Try to learn from other people's experience. Try to learn from people's mistakes. That's an important thing about business. And then try to find what needs you can meet and concentrate and focus on those needs.
That is great advice. So Brenda, what advice would you give to those who might be thinking about starting their own nonprofit about something they're passionate about?
Well, I would say the very first thing is to make sure that you are passionate and committed to that cause or that nonprofit, and that you're doing it for the right reasons. Starting up any business is hard. Starting up a nonprofit business is even harder. And some days you feel like the odds are just really stacked against you. It's very rewarding, but it takes a lot of patience and it takes a long time. So if you're not truly committed and truly passionate, there are probably less intensive ways to help. And the second thing is to, just like Shawn just said, look out and see who else is doing something in that similar space, and collaborate and partner as much as you possibly can, because it just makes it so much harder if you're trying to reinvent everything from scratch. And then the final thing would be to be sincere about it. We all know companies who make a big deal in their marketing about their charitable works and so on. And then when you really peel the onion, you find out it's a little bit more marketing than anything else. And maybe they give 2% or 1% or 0.1% of their profits to charity. That is why you really have to be sincere, and that's why at Belle Athena we have said 100% every day, every product from the beginning and forever. And we're making steps to actually make sure that that happens long after I'm gone.
That's wonderful. So Shawn, what are some tools that you could not do your job without?
Sure. So one tool that I use a lot, and you can imagine, we're very geographic in our business, and one is geographic information systems. I learned about it 20-some years ago, and I've seen that get into more and more businesses and more ventures. But with GIS, I'm able to understand a community's assets, because I work with 7 counties in the city of Norton and several communities within those 7 counties. And so understanding their assets compared to regional assets, statewide assets, interstate assets, and then understanding how to connect them, GIS is a very valuable tool to me. The other tool I kind of alluded to earlier is humility. I've met a lot of smart people here, but you don't have to be the smartest and the brightest. You just have to be humble enough to learn, to be moldable, to understand, and to seek out those things. The other thing is you have to have good partners. You can't do it alone. Nothing that I've done, I've been alone. I've had people to help me, and I recognize that and I celebrate it. But one of the partners we have is another government organization in our area called Heart of Appalachia. It does a lot of marketing for us, and it's impossible for me to have the funds and the expertise on my staff to build and develop trails and do all the marketing. So we use them to stretch our marketing dollars out and to help market those trails, because you can build an asset, but if no one knows about it, it doesn't really make a big difference. And we're building over 100 miles of new trails and new assets every year, and right now we're at 550 miles. So, and we're going into different areas, so it creates more marketing than we can shake a stick at that we have to do.
Sylvia, what are some tools? What are some tools and that are essential for your job? Putting you on the spot.
Can I just do it like? Sure. I think that we as an organization, I know as an organization, we try to be the kind of partners that we want to be and that we're looking for all the time. So we want to be candid, we want to be transparent, we want to be supportive, we want to be hardworking, and we also want to stay the course. In my mid-career life, I have had partners come to me and want a partner, and at the end of the day, I realized that maybe that partnership wasn't the best partnership. So we're all the time looking as an organization to have that posture that is the kind of partner that we're looking for. The other thing is that we really want to collaborate. We believe as an organization that collaboration is the key to collective impact, particularly in a region where we're facing so many challenges, the challenges of poverty, food insecurity, and a lot of the other things that we all are pretty aware of today. And so cross-sector partnerships, cross-state partnerships, those kinds of collaborations are some of the things that I don't think we could do without. And then a desire and a sincere respect to really serve the constituents that we serve in the kinds of ways that they need to be served. We never want to tell farmers and food producers what to do. We always want to try to leverage their natural land-based assets that is the most productive for them and also allows us as a nonprofit to do our good work.
Perfect. Brenda, what tools or skills could you not do your job without?
Okay, so I have some awesome tools. So as a engineering geek, I've got some kitchen equipment that would make y'all jealous. So some of you know that I actually started the company in my house, and we got to a really pretty decent scale in the house. And so imagine you've cleared out your dining room, reinforced the floor, sent in some extra electrical, and you at all times have 50 pounds of warm, melted dark chocolate in your dining room.
That's dangerous.
Let's just let that soak in for just a minute. But the company's been growing so fast that you know, we have a large shop downtown now, and we have added some equipment just this past year that would not fit in anybody's house. So I do have some awesome tools. But the skill, and the one skill that I would say from the beginning that you need, and this would be true for any for-profit or starting up a for-profit business or starting up a nonprofit organization, is you have got to be flexible and have got to have the willingness and the courage to sort of jump into any discipline. I used to start up businesses for that other little company that you might know, it was kind of easy because you had a marketing department and a legal department and a lot of people to keep you out of trouble. When you're on your own, you know, you're kind of the accountant one day, and you're the salesperson, and you're the manufacturing person, and you've got to read this legal contract, and you just don't have the resources in almost any case to hire professionals for everything you need. So just being flexible and being willing to kind of Google it and figure it out, at least to get a start and get you down the right road, is just a key skill for any of this type of work, I think.
That's good advice. So let's close with some thoughts around the future of these social enterprises. Shawn, in the future, what new projects would you like to see Spearhead Trails tackle?
Well, on just the physical part, the trails, we are getting ready to connect an ATV trail to West Virginia, and so we're connecting with a large trail authority up there, and so we're trying to do some regional initiatives to market in the future with them. We just connected an equestrian non-motorized multi-use trail to Kentucky. Within 2 years, we'll have a new trail on the Powell River that connects the Blue Ways in Tennessee with Virginia, and so we're doing these interconnecting trails and trying to bring the region together with tourism and economic development around trails. We've also we continue to build the other trails. We're building at about 100 miles a year, and so we're seeing huge economic impact. So like in 2017, we did an independent study that showed our economic impact was around 9 million, and we support about 94 jobs. Well, we just redid it in 2019, and we more than doubled that. So
that's terrific.
Yeah, we're at 18.8 million on economic impact, so we're supporting now 198 jobs. So I think in 2 years from now, I want to be at 500 jobs. I want to be at close to 50 million in economic impacts. We're getting ready to start a sportsman complex, and that's going to be new shooting sports. That's a whole new recreation area that our area needs, because there's not anything like that within several miles. It's a public ranges that people can enjoy that sport. And so we're always looking for new initiatives and new things to do. We're looking at developing more climbing sports and other areas of outdoor recreation. So I see us growing in that area, developing more partnerships, working with the states around us and with the other counties around us to help promote the region as a whole.
Certainly some lofty goals. Brenda, what would you like to see Bellavita grow into in the future?
Yeah, so we have a goal of, we want to grow to the point where we can write $1 million checks to charity, and that is plural, and we want to be able to do that every year. And we want to be able to do it perpetually. So I'd like the company to grow to the point where it can afford a full leadership team, so that it can continue forever, so that it's rolling out those profits to charity perpetually. And my ultimate dream is that leadership team would be comprised of some of the women that we are supporting right now. We didn't talk about it a lot, but we're bringing in women who are in active stages of recovery, and trying to lift them up to the point where they can imagine something better for their lives. And so I would just love it if some of them will go on to do other things, but I would love if some of them could stay with us and grow to be the head of our marketing department, or the head or to lead the whole company. And so that would be an awesome dream. So we're pretty well positioned to get there. We've got great production capacity, partly because I'm an engineering geek and love the equipment, and we've got lots of people. We've got a great product, and we already ship it across the U.S. The big gap is just getting this story out there, and getting the word spread outside of our region. So shameless plug, if anybody knows how to help with that, I'll be out there afterwards, or hit our website, or come by the shop and talk, because that is just the one thing that we have not been able to kind of crack.
Thank you, Brenda. And Sylvia, what do you hope to see Appalachian sustainable development grow into in the future?
Well, next year's our 25th anniversary, so we have a couple of really lofty goals on deck. We're going into some strategic planning that will uncover areas of relevancy for us and some other programming that we might execute. We are always looking to increase food access in our footprint. Each year we're donating about 125,000 pounds of fresh seconds produce, and we certainly would love to have more farmers enter a farmer pipeline so that we could donate more produce. We're all the time looking at trends and emerging markets. So one of the areas that we see a lot of exploration and growth in is the medicinal herb market. So we're currently working with a couple of manufacturers, herbal manufacturers that make cosmetics and also supplements. There's a huge interest in Appalachian medicinal herbs. We see that as great potential and a great market for local farmers, and just partners and friends and collaborators, because we sure need that. And then the other thing that we're doing is we're working out a food corridor model, which brings in financial resources to Central Appalachia from partners in Eastern and Western Ohio, Kentucky, North Carolina, and West Virginia. Just building more supply to meet that demand and increase capacity.
Sounds like you all have some lofty goals for the future. So, to the audience, I hope you've come away today inspired by these three panelists and inspired to use your own skills and abilities to create positive change in the world. I want to thank you, Shawn, Brenda, and Sylvia, for sharing your passion with us today at IDEAcademy.
Thank you.
Thank you.